Our film begins with Sasha and her husband, Ace, waking up inside their tent. The massive shock comes when they open the tent flap. They are camped on a tiny ledge on a terrifyingly high mountain peak. When Sasha looks up, we discover they haven't even reached the top yet. There's still a massive distance left to climb. Sasha is ecstatic and urges Ace to continue their ascent, saying, "Come on, the weather is beautiful and the sun is shining everywhere." Ace listens to her, and we see them climbing the sheer rock face together. Sasha climbs higher than Ace because they can't be at the exact same level simultaneously for safety reasons. Suddenly, Sasha struggles to get past a specific rock and slits. Strangely, Ace doesn't panic at all. He just casually says, "If you don't pay attention, you're going to get yourself killed, kid." From her response, we understand she has tried to climb this exact spot multiple times and failed every single time. The only reason she dragged them out here is that she refuses to feel like a failure and desperately wants to conquer this specific cliff. She tries again and again and again until Ace finally begs her to stop pushing her luck. She absolutely refuses. Ace reminds her, "You have a climbing partner, you know. You're not alone, and the weather is changing. We need to stop right here, set up the tent, and wait. Enough trying for today." They get inside their tent just as the weather turns extremely hostile. Ace grows increasingly terrified of the storm, but Sasha stubbornly dismisses his fear. "So what? We're going to stop climbing because of a little rain and a storm." Ace stares at her and asks if she's hiding something from him. He finally snaps, asking, "How much longer am I supposed to keep doing these extreme adventures with you? I don't know how much more of this I can take." Sasha tries to calm him down, reminding him that every climb feels impossible until they conquer it. But Ace makes it clear, "There is no reason for us to keep risking our lives like this over and over." They finally agree to descend the mountain the next day, hoping the weather will have calmed down. But brilliantly, they choose the absolute worst moment during the raging storm to begin their descent. We see them climbing down step by step, taking turns securing each other. Sasha descends first, but what she doesn't anticipate is that the freezing storm causes a massive chunk of ice to fall from the rocks above. Before securing Ace's line, she yells, "I'm good, come on down." But realizing her rope clamp has jammed, she screams at the top of her lungs, confident he'll hear her. "Wait, stay there." But it is too late. Ace had already started his descent. He suddenly plummets right in front of her eyes without the end of his rope being secured. His head violently smashes against a rocky outcrop, knocking him completely unconscious. Sasha desperately screams his name, begging him to wake up, as her own rope starts slipping from her grip. She is losing control of her anchor, but it's no use. In a split second, she watches helplessly as he falls completely, the rope slipping through her hands. The mountain's sheer drop ensures the end of Ace's life. 5 months later, we see Sasha after essentially causing his death heading out for another camping trip. This time, she chooses a dense forest. Haunted by her last conversation with Ace, she decides to return to the exact vast park and forest where he died. When she goes to get a permit, the park ranger warns her that she's entering at her own risk. He points to a board filled with missing persons flyers, urging her to be careful. While she's at a supermarket gathering camping supplies intending to stay in the forest until she can find Ace's body, since the police only recovered scattered remains and set up a memorial near where he presumably fell. She is approached by a highly intrusive, creepy guy trying to flirt with her. A second man, Ben, notices the harassment and seems genuinely annoyed on her behalf. He steps in, especially when the creepy guy's equally trashy friend tells her, "Come with us, we know this forest inch by inch." Yet, as if they planted the trees themselves, Ben watches in silence. When Ben approaches Sasha later just to make sure she's okay, she gives him very short, dismissive answers. He takes the hint and walks away. But Sasha ends up needing his help anyway. While driving, she struggles to calibrate her compass. She rolls down her window and calls out to him, asking for directions to the specific part of the forest she wants to reach. Then asks her to questions that seem like a harmless joke, but we'll soon realize every word has a terrifying meaning. "Do you want the easy way or the hard way?" Surprised, she replies, "I want the best way." He smiles quickly and gives her exact directions, but then suggests a massive shortcut that will lead her to a great camping spot on the beach. She thanks him profusely, thinking she has this camping thing in the bag. Halfway there, Sasha stops for a break. We notice she keeps pepper spray handy in her bag. Suddenly, she sees a truck approaching with dead foxes hanging from the back. To her horror, it's the same creepy guys who harassed her earlier. They start harassing her again, throwing disgusting comments until she is genuinely terrified. She locks herself in her car, but the main guy doesn't leave. He knocks on her window, claiming, "We're just trying to be friendly, nothing more," and walks away. Looking in her rearview mirror, she watches them skinning the dead foxes. She decides to sleep in her car to stay safe. They eventually leave without harming her. In the morning, she leaves her car behind and continues her journey on foot along the riverbed. Sasha is having a great time hiking and, of course, can't resist doing a bit of light rock climbing just to prove she's still got it. She jumps into the river. But she quickly moves on, continuing her journey. She reaches the memorial site where Ace fell. She stares at his picture, deeply devastated because his body was never fully recovered. She desperately wants to find his remains to lay him to rest properly, especially since he hated this place. Afterward, she follows Ben's advice and sets up her camp upon the beach. Suddenly, while asleep in her tent, she hears a loud eagle screech. Startled, she wakes up, terrified to step outside. When she finally does, she discovers a disaster. Her backpack containing all her gear and supplies is gone. Panicking, she turns back to her tent, only to see something moving inside. Looking closer, she is shocked to find a snake slithering inside her tent. With all her gear lost, she abandons the campsite and wades through the river again. She notices another campsite nearby and immediately heads toward the shore, venturing into the woods, hoping to find someone to help her. She finds a small wooden cabin with a campfire outside. Someone is clearly preparing a meal. Suddenly, Ben appears before her. It turns out his shortcut was designed specifically to lead her straight to him. He approaches her with his calm smile and greets her. When she explains that she heard a sound like an eagle right before her bag was stolen, he calmly explains that it's a specific animal in this forest. He claims he met one just like it and even mimics the bizarre, parson-like screech it uses to communicate. He jokes around a bit to ease her tension, assuring her she's perfectly safe with him. Sasha realizes that the animal couldn't possibly have stolen her bag, especially since she hung it high in a tree. Ben reassures her, saying he has doubled the supplies he needs, and they can share. He invites her to sit outside his cabin and starts preparing a meal of jerky for her. Just as she's about to tell him she ate some the night before and it tastes good, he casually names the meat after a woman. Confused, she asks if that's the actual brand name of the meat. He replies, "No, I named it after my mother because I love her so much." A chill runs down Sasha's spine. What kind of person names dried meat after his mother? She begins to sense that something is very wrong, but she can't put her finger on it. Connecting the dots from him asking her to choose a path to leading her exactly to his cabin, it becomes terrifyingly clear he isn't who he appears to be. This is confirmed when he offers her water extracted from a tree. Because Sasha is smart, she suspects he isn't just a casual camper, he lives permanently in this forest. She grows highly cautious, but his convincing demeanor puts her somewhat at ease when he jokes about forgetting his supplies. Sasha laughs and relaxes a bit. He talks to her about her love for adventure, noting how similar they are and how no one else understands that feeling. As he prepares the food, while she listens intently, he suddenly throws in a sarcastic remark about her dead husband, Ace. He implies that since the accident, she hates climbing and can't stand the sight of mountains. When her face turns to stone, he quickly backpedals, "I was just joking." Trying to lighten the mood, "Can't you take a joke?" Now Sasha knows for a fact that Ben is extremely dangerous. To show him she isn't an easy target, she tells him about the creeps who harassed her at the supermarket. She warns him, "By the way, the guy who stole my bag was probably one of them. They're trying to scare me, but it won't work." Ben realizes she actually thinks someone is stronger than him. He subtly drops hints into the conversation, reciting her exact actions from the supermarket encounter. No, you were very strong. You didn't show fear, you just locked your car and slept peacefully." Sasha freezes. How on earth does he know those exact details? Suddenly, his facial expression completely transforms. His kind face shifts into a sinister, menacing smile, his eyes turning cold and sharp. Terrified, Sasha decides to leave immediately. But he stops her, saying, "Wait, where are you going? I have something for you." She looks down and sees him wearing her bracelet, the exact one Ace gave her. She realizes he was the one who stole her bag. Catching her stare, he smirks, "Oh, word got around. Yes, it's yours. Your taste isn't the best, But it works. Her eyes fill with tears of pure terror. She stammers, "I'm leaving now, Ben." "Okay," he says calmly. But as she runs, he sprints to his cabin, tosses her backpack outside, and follows her out carrying a high-tech compound bow capable of killing her from a massive distance. He plays a song on his phone and taunts her. "Go ahead. Take your bag. I'll give you a head start until this song ends. Let's make this a real adventure. Didn't I ask you which path you wanted? You chose this." Finally, the terrifying meaning behind his earlier question makes sense. Sasha wishes she had never met him. He adds that he even put extra tools in her bag to show how generous he is. He starts dancing to the song, screaming into the woods, and dropping the ultimate surprise. He makes the bizarre Tarzan screech himself. Sasha grabs her bag and runs for her life, jumping into a kayak and paddling frantically down the river while he continues to dance like a maniac. As soon as the song ends, he moves through the trees like a predator. Poor Sasha is a nervous wreck, tattling with all her might to escape him despite the jagged rocks blocking her path. Sasha can't hold on much longer, and her luck runs out. She falls into the rushing river, helplessly carried by the current until she washes ashore. Suddenly, she hears the sound of a family talking nearby. She sprints toward the voices, hoping for salvation. But when she reaches the spot, she finds a phone playing a video recording of the family. Tragically, the video shows the family greeting Ben. She realizes he hunted them down too. But how could one man take out an entire family? He must have an accomplice. While she's distracted by this horrifying realization, an arrow suddenly shoots past her. Because Ben knows the forest like the back of his hand, the phone was nothing but a trap. He stalks her from a distance, firing arrows at her constantly. She manages to dodge them, diving back into the river. The current and the waterfalls are incredibly violent, making it impossible for her to control her body, even though she is an expert swimmer. She eventually pulls herself out of the water, but this is far from over. Den is a force of nature in this forest, deadlier than the river itself. She checks her bag, making sure her pepper spray is secure, and starts running again. If you're on the edge of your seat watching Sasha fight for her life against this psycho, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for Cinema Swift. We bring you the most intense movie breakdowns and thrillers every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss a wild plot twist. Now, back to the hunt. Sasha reaches a steep mountain cave and starts free climbing. The higher she climbs, the wider the gaps between the rocks become, forcing her to stretch her entire body to reach the top, hoping it leads to a safer part of the forest. She finally makes it to the peak but stops, completely disoriented. Every horror looks the same, just mountains, rocks, and endless trees. She pulls out a small telescope and spots a kayak in the distance. She desperately wants to reach it before Ben finds her. But suddenly, she hears his terrifying screech. Even the birds are terrifying and scatter. Tearing through the telescope, she sees him marching straight toward her. She quickly hides behind a tree. When she peeks out again, he is staring directly at her and smiling. Desperate to survive, she decides to risk hiding inside the mountain cave again. Ben reaches the top and scans the area. He lets out his psychotic screech, trying to startle her into falling. She flinches, but holds on tightly until she is certain he has left. Ben walks away, assuming he finally lost her. Little does he know, she is preparing to steal his kayak. She watches from afar as he jumps into the river near the kayak. She slips into the water, swimming stealthily like a frogman, until she reaches the kayak to untie it. But from a distance, Ben aims his bow and shoots her. She is hit but desperately tries to swim away. Unfortunately, she steps right into a hidden bear trap underwater. Ben drags her out of the water by the trap chain. In a desperate move, she sprays pepper spray directly into his face. But it's useless, it's like spraying bug spray on a mutant insect. He simply dunks his face in the river, lifts it, and stands there with all his terrifying strength. He threatens her with a sharp knife, offering a deal. Drop the pepper spray, and he will release her leg from the trap. She complies, and he actually keeps his word. With chilling calmness, he approaches her and casually tries to feed her fruit he picked from a tree. He leaves her tied and hanging upside down all night while it rains. He sits in his cabin, his eyes bloodshot from the pepper spray, but he doesn't care. He watches her like an eagle, feeling absolutely no pity. He approaches her and casually asks, "Did you know teeth can identify a person?" Some tribes file their teeth until they are sharp and pointed. Every word he speaks is accompanied by a look of pure, psychotic madness. While he talks, Sasha looks around, trying to figure out how to escape. He explains that these tribes endure the excruciating pain because it's the rite of passage to maturity. He steps away with a wicked, calm demeanor, his eyes dry and terrifying. The next morning, they are in the river, and he is paddling the kayak. He reveals he found out her name from the park ranger's permit log. She asks him not to talk about the ranger because it reminds her of her husband. Then fake sympathy. "Oh, my heart goes out to you." While he babbles on, she is already plotting her escape. She spots the knot of the rope tying her hands and tries to figure out how to untie it. Just as she touches the knot, Ben, who is incredibly sharp, notices her move. He instantly flips her out of the kayak into the river and drags her behind the boat, like a sheep on a leash. He pulls her relentlessly, not caring if she smashes into the river rocks. Poor Sasha fights just to keep her head above water, refusing to give up, but she is completely at his mercy. He drags her to a cave hidden between the mountains and pulls her inside. There, she discovers a horrifying sight. Mummified human bodies. She realizes this is her fate. He grabs her hands while she begs him to let her go, trying to reason with him and figure out why he is so sadistic. He gets angry, steps close, and asks, "Do you really think there is something wrong with my art?" "Thank God," she answers carefully, having no choice but to play along. "I think people hurt you, they did terrible things to you, and I am so sorry for what happened to you on their behalf." Before she can finish, he calmly pulls out a set of fake dentures, revealing his real teeth beneath filed down to sharp, pointed fangs, exactly like the tribes he mentioned. He demands she touch his teeth. Terrified, she hesitates, but he forces her hand onto his fangs. The moment she feels how razor-sharp they are, she screams and begs him to stay away. Suddenly, he steps back and vanishes. In the blink of an eye, he is gone. She calls out, looking everywhere, but he has vanished into thin air. Without warning, he reappears with his signature screech, lunging at her to assert dominance through sheer terror. But Sasha has no intention of dying easily. She tries to get into his head, asking about the picture he carries. "Who is this? It must be your mother. She looks just like you, but she looks so kind." He pauses and asks, "Do you know what her last words to me were?" "Gino loves Ben, and Ben loves Gino." He tells her his mother never left him, and is still with him. Sasha doesn't understand what he means by still with him, until he shows her. He confirms he plans to keep Sasha with him just like his mother, by mummifying her. Mummification is an honor reserved only for those who fight back. Those who surrender just become rotting corpses. Sasha decides to fight dirty. She bites his ear off until he collapses in agony. Because she is tied to him by the waist, when he falls screaming, she seizes the chance to run down the mountain. He tries to grab her, but she drags him along. They both tumble down into the raging river. The waterfall violently sweeps them between the rocks. They can't find their footing until they crash into the same spot. They push each other away, but Ben hits his head hard and loses consciousness. Sasha desperately tries to free herself from the rope binding them together, but she can't untie it. She grabs a heavy rock and pins him down so he can't move, then tries to smash the rope clamp. But the psychotic monster has 9 lives. He wakes up. An exhausting struggle begins. No matter how hard she fights to kill him, he overpowers her, grabbing her throat and choking her. But at the last second, he hesitates, pretending to show mercy. Sasha seizes the opening instantly. She grabs the heavy rock and smashes it repeatedly into his leg until she breaks his bone. He collapses, screaming in agony from the massive, open wound. They both lie there, completely exhausted, unable to move. It's a warrior's rest for Sasha, but a psychopath's rest for Ben. Delirious from exhaustion and trauma, Sasha starts hallucinating, muttering disconnected sentences mostly about her dead husband, Ace. She blames herself for his death because she refused to listen to him and stubbornly kept climbing just like her arrogant attitude at the beginning of the film. When dawn breaks, they are still in the same spot. She looks ahead and sees the mountain blocking their path to the main road. The distance isn't far, but they have to climb the peak. If they turn back, it's a 12-day hike, and they have 0 survival gear. When she says it's impossible to survive, Ben mocks her. And whose fault is that? He almost says, you should have just died quietly. Sasha ignores his provocation completely. She offers an ultimatum. You either free me, we tie our climbing ropes together, and I help you reach the top of the mountain, or your leg wound will get infected, and you'll have to amputate it if you even survive the infection. Since Ben desperately clings to life, he aims his knife at her face as she approaches to help him. She snaps back, showing she isn't a feral animal like him. I'll give you 2 seconds to unlock these cuffs, or you can say your prayers right now. He agrees, but threatens, if you try to leave me up there or drop me, I will cut the rope and snap your neck. He finally unlocks her cuffs. They tie the climbing rope between them, but Ben attaches a secondary line to Sasha so he remains in control. Sasha begins the grueling climb. Every time she pauses to secure the rope into the rocks, he watches her suspiciously. At one point, he realizes she's actually trying to cut him loose, which, honestly, she was. To punish her, he yanks the main rope, making her slip halfway down. He reminds her of their deal. Furious, she stomps heavily on his broken leg, insisting she was just adjusting the cable. She finally reaches a relatively safe ledge, but Ben can't keep his mouth shut. The height reminds him of Ace, and he taunts her. What did he look like when he fell? Did it look like he was flying? She doesn't answer, just glaring at him with pure disgust as she secures his line. Since Ben has zero climbing experience, he has no idea what she's actually doing. He assumes she's securing a safe anchor point to pull him up, but Sasha is absolutely done with him. She decides to finish him off with her own hands so he can go ask her husband himself what falling feels like. When she delays pulling him up, he calls out to her, but she is busy setting a lethal trap. She ties his specific rope to a tree branch wedged between the rocks. If he tries to yank her down, he will only snap the secondary line connecting them, not the main climbing rope. When she is ready, she attempts to free herself, then aggressively yanks the rope, trying to pull her down with him. Despite her holding on, his spiteful pulling finally causes the secondary rope to snap. Den waits to see what she do next. She coldly cuts his main climbing rope. He plummets down the mountain, his head smashing against the rocks. She has finally killed him and ended the nightmare, but her ordeal isn't over. Sasha continues climbing the deadliest part of the mountain without any safety gear. It's the exact same level of difficulty that killed her husband. Despite her body being covered in deep wounds, she is determined to finish. Just like at the beginning of the movie, her foot keeps slipping, but this time, there is no safety rope. She tells herself, no, not after all this, I will not fall here. He is fiercely determined to deliver the identities of the mummified victims to the police so their families can find peace. After an agonizing struggle, she finally reaches the summit. She takes a true warrior's rest, a victor's rest. She sits there, broken, unable to believe she survived all of this alone without Ace. She realizes that to make peace with his death and forgive herself, she had to experience the exact same terrifying helplessness he felt as he slowly died before her eyes. She walks through the forest with no idea where she is going until night falls. She drinks from the river to stay alive. Finally, her salvation appears. She passed the ultimate test. A family in a car finds her and drives her to safety. She gives them the address of the ranger station. The first thing she tells the ranger is that she knows the exact locations of all the missing families. From that moment on, the forest will never be terrifying again. Helicopters swarm the area, recovering the mummifying and decomposing bodies. The families finally get closure. Sasha stands on the beach, having regained her strength. She is at peace knowing she didn't just free her husband's soul, but the souls of dozens of victims, bringing peace to their families. She knows she had to go through this hell to find redemption. In the final scene, she hears the exact same Tarzan screech. But this time, she ignores it. It's definitely just a bird. The moral of the story, guys, stay home and avoid the woods.